and why nothing we care about really matters. That's the first thing that came to mind when I said, how am I going to explain this to everybody? In politics, it's not just follow the money, it's follow your money. And when I say your money, how many of you donate money to organizations? How many of those organizations are outside the state of Texas? Yeah, don't hold your hand down like, oh, I'm going to be in trouble. Trust me, lots and lots of Texans, and I hate to say it, but the majority of them are above 50, 55 years old. It's the most senior among us, the older portion of the population who are trying to do their part to follow up on their ideals and their moral principles. That's the whole premise of the money. The problem is, it has nothing to do with your morals and principles. And I know it sounds odd, but it's just, I'm going to give you some simple examples. This email is from March 17th. I just used it as an example because it's one of the latest. These come every day. I mean, this is just a month ago. This is from the Patriots for Economic Freedom. Okay? That's a PAC run by a guy named Tyler Whitney. Mia Love, the woman in the picture, she's running for Congress in Utah. Black, conservative, female. Home run. She's breaking barriers. Mia Love can be the next member of Congress from Utah's 4th District. Love is committed to bringing fiscal discipline, limited government, personal responsibility, yada, yada, yada. Great sales pitch using Mia. As a mother of three, Love understands how devastating policies like Obamacare and Common Core are. Boy, they're hitting all the points, right? This year we must reach every single voter and let them know how important this election is. Please join in supporting Mia Love. Your contribution, blah, 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 blah. We must work to elect this dedicated patriot. Okay, this is the Patriots for Economic Freedom. I'm going to tell you, you can use this as a standard. What's going on right here? This is kind of a standard. I'm not saying all organizations are bad. I will tell you personally, I'm not donating to anybody outside the state of Texas. Never again. I don't care who they are. This is off of opensecrets.org. Has anybody ever gone to opensecrets.org? If you haven't, go. It's a blast. Flip through there and see who's giving money to who. It's great information. It's all public record, too. By the way, the Patriots for Economic Freedom, who are asking for money to support candidates like Mia, gave $0 to candidates during the 2014 cycle. Or the 2012 cycle, for that matter. This is a PAC summary off of the Patriots for Economic Freedom. This is in $200,000 in that period, leading up to this filing in 2014. And the total receipts during that period, and I forget what the months are, but it was through December 13th or December 31st of last year. They had raised in that period $136,000. They spent $139,000. They had $8,000 on hand. Now, see that contributions from PAC to federal candidates, $0. What you need to understand is down here is Treasurer Tyler Whitney. I'm only calling his name out because some of these names y'all need to hear because I'm going to tie it all together so you understand the cycle. This is their expenses. If you look at number one, that's Amagi Strategies. Okay, Amagi Strategies is owned by Tyler Whitney. It's a consulting firm. Paid himself $73,000 out of that $136,000 they took in. $18,000 to Facebook. Facebook's such a great tool, you know. Paid himself $12,400. The DB Capital Strategies paid right at $10,000 and another $3,000. Actually ended up making somewhere in the neighborhood of $14,000 or something. The total amount paid to Amagi Tyler Whitney was $90,000. See the payments. This DB Capital is a guy named Dan Backer. Remember that name? Dan Backer, Capital Strategies PLLC. Now, the reason you need to remember that is because These are PACs that just Dan Backer is the treasurer of. He created. You see the teaparty.net?
Mm-hmm.
All of us have seen stuff from teaparty.net. Now, teaparty.net has a leadership fund that donated $2,500 to Steve Stockman as special candidates. If I told you that if you were giving money to teaparty.net, you were giving money to, I don't know, Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn, would you give money to teaparty.net? No. They're the polar opposite of Tea Party. Well, it's happening. It's a shell game. These PACs and C4s and all these nonprofits that are created under the federal umbrella of Citizens United, which was a big lawsuit that happened a few years back. Politics as we saw, republicanism as being represented and you electing people that represent you is history. This Special Operations Speaks PAC, that's special. I talked to Special Operations Speaks, SOS PAC, membership in Fort Worth during the campaign. Huge support from these folks. The minute Steve Stockman got in the race, they endorsed him in D.C. Their head honchos endorsed him. We could never figure out why. We've got some people on their board that are in Texas, and they could not understand why they endorsed Steve Stockman. I'll get around to that. All these PACs, you see this one, Tomorrow's Meaningful PAC, also gave money to Mitch McConnell and John Cornyn. Now look at this, teaparty.net, $3.8 million in revenue, $58,000 a candidate. Strategic fundraising is a data service. It's about records. It's about finding people who they can send donor requests to, those donor lists. DB Capital Strategies made $130,000. In Defense of Free Speech, which is a joint fundraising committee, was paid $40,000, who in turn gave $13,450 to John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell, each. This is the Patriots for Economic Freedom. I don't know if y'all can see the second name on the committee's list, Dan Backer. That's Tyler Whitney listed first, that's his email, and Dan Backer's email listed second. Tyler Whitney and Dan Backer are part of that same PAC. These things are all tentacles. All these PACs are interconnected in some way, shape, or form, depending on which group you're connected. It's like cabals, like a bunch of cabals of different people who are running these shell games. People's Advocate for the United States. How many of y'all have got anything from a guy named Eugene Delgadio? Comes in a real nice letter form, says Eugene Delgadio, President, People's Advocate of the United States. Okay.
Came out way back 4 or 5 years ago.
You see this? I don't know if y'all can read that down here. On the other hand, Congressman Steve Stockman, candidate Kirk Cleaver, and Candace Mapp have all pledged to be 100% support family values. Leads with Steve Stockman. This guy sends out, see, we have not received completed surveys from Senate candidates. Dwayne Stovall leads with me. The concept is all of these organizations use surveys and spam email and mail, issue-oriented, to drive donations. And the bigger issue is driving data. They need to create as many people on their donor list as they can. And once they get somebody who's on the hook donating, you know, they'll want to keep telling them, forward this information to your friends, forward this information to your friends. And the way they drive these is they drive it by principles. Whether it's the homosexual agenda or against abortion or whatever. See this? Ask Senator Cornyn and the rest, what are they hiding? And thank Congressman Stockman. This all ties together. Oh, by the way, People Advocate of the United States, Eugene Delgadio. There's another name you ought to hear, Donnie Ferguson, who worked with Eugene Delgadio for a number of years before he was found guilty of voter manipulation in Montana, who is now here in Texas. This Donnie Ferguson guy? Yeah.
The misspelling of United is distracting your slide.
Did I? Oh, thank you. Got one. Got one. Thank you.
That's distracting.
That's great. Okay, let's get off that.
Unit T. Unit T.
By the way, if you Google Delgadio and Ferguson, you come up with their money laundering charges. This is Public Advocate of the United States. This is their last filing that's available publicly. Took him $1.1 million. This is this Eugene Delgadio guy. Paid himself $0. But under the contractors, he paid Eugene Delgadio and Associates, a consulting firm. By the way, he is a precinct commissioner in a county in Georgia. That's his whole job. Nothing against precinct commissioners, but that's what he does for a living. This is how he makes his real money on the side at a computer. Center for the American Future is a guy named Jason Posey. Anybody ever heard of that guy? Center for the American Future sends out a newsletter called the Conservative Newspaper. And it comes out single page. Big advocate of Congressman Steve Stockman. Amazingly. He says he was fired, but he resurfaces on this newspaper publisher, this Jason Posey guy. Now, Dan Backer was Steve Stockman's campaign treasurer.
Dan Backer,
Where?
Backer. Second line.
Dan Backer. That's two. That's good. Donnie Ferguson is Steve Stockman's campaign manager and social media advisor. Jason Posey is Steve Stockman's old treasurer. The purpose of running for federal office is to make money. It's not about policy or conservative values or the best interest of the state. Hey, interest. I caught one myself. Or the best interest of your children. It's about donations. It's about using the voters' traditional moral principles to fleece them and line their own pockets. This money is divided up between conservative and non-conservative candidates. Conservative. Boy.
Well, divvied. It could be divvied.
No, it's wrong.
Divided.
Conservatives misspelled.
It's getting late. It's getting yeah, conservative is.
How many people in here understand that here? How many people here knew that my campaign filed ethics complaints with the FEC against Steve Stockman? 2 of them. The Jason Posey guy, who runs the Citizens for the American Future, that's a C4. That's a nonprofit, formally organized group. One of the investigative journalists working on our behalf had a contact of his in New Jersey. We got help from New Jersey. Who was going through WordPress website, the WordPress host for all different kinds of websites. You can go build your own website and play. They have an index facility on their website at WordPress where you can go screen the index of all the pages that are on different websites. Citizens for the American Future had an unsecured, completely publicly accessed web page that listed all of the donors and their private information, including their credit card numbers and info, for the Steve Stockman for Senate campaign. Just so you know, it's completely against the law for a nonprofit to collude with a candidate while they're running for office or at any time. You know, they always have that argument about the really bad taste commercial put out by the PAC. And they go to the candidate and they go, do you condone this? Now, hey, I can't talk. I couldn't have anything to do with that. That's not me. That's them. Well, we just kind of found that thumbprint that tied him to this. Now, old history here. He's my congressman. I know Steve. None of the Tea Parties in my area would endorse him. No Tea Party in the state of Texas ever endorsed him when he ran for Congress. And the reason we didn't endorse him was because of this behavior last year while he was running against another candidate by the name of Stephen DeKosh, who's just a regular accountant in Baytown. You can't respond to the mailers. People are inundated with mailers at home all day. It's almost secondary whether or not you get elected. It's much more important that they get your information and they get you hooked into giving them $5 or $10 or $20 or $30 a month. That's the goal. Some of the insidious things that we found out that make it even worse. The leadership pack, that's a pack that only can be created by a congressman. As I understand it, that is a congressman. If you're a member of Congress, you can create a leadership pack. By the way, you know who sets the rules on these packs, right?
Congressman.
And they're implemented by the IRS, handy-dandy gun owners of the government, right? Well, one of the rules over a leadership pack is leadership packs have a really nice little ruling that says any excess funds can leave Congress when they retire and go with the congressman, the member of Congress. And you're rubbing your head, it's like, whoa.
Well, if some of them retire, it might be worth it.
Well, I look at it this way. And I'm smiling while I say this. Trust me, this is worth going to fisticuffs over. You make $174,000 a year by stealing from us because you're robbing us. There's no reason we can argue over what they get paid all day long. The second part of that is even more evil to me. They are stealing, and let's call it what it is. You are stealing and plundering from those among us, Texans who can't afford to save money for a retirement. You are taking money out of their pocket, and you're creating a pension plan that's better than anybody else in the world. And at the same time, you got a leadership pack that's making you untold amounts of money. Because, by the way, they can shift money between each other. So you can donate money to Group X, who's advertising that they're all about anti-abortion. And they can be distributing money to JFCs, which are joint fundraising committees, which have all kinds of members on them that may not represent your ideals. And that money gets moved around. It's a shell game. It makes bukus of money for people in office and their connections. If you are connected to the Beltway, you can get rich, unbelievably wealthy, in any way, shape, or form. Those relationships are evil. And it has nothing to do with our principles. Nothing. Matter of fact, they use your conservative values against you. They send you stuff in the mail to say, do you want Obama taking your guns? Well, no, I don't want him doing that. Well, here's $5. Has nothing to do with it. $3.8 million by TeaParty.net. TeaParty.net spent $58,000 on supporting candidates. Of that $58,000, they're supporting candidates we wouldn't support. So the message, because there's a whole lot of this, we can get into all kinds of weeds with this, but the message I'm bringing to you about voting, election cycles, public media and all that, if you are going to give money to a candidate, to support a candidate, give it directly to the candidate. Never give it to a PAC in their name that they're going to support. We're going to support this side, the me you love. Never. For me, I don't give to anybody outside the state of Texas. That's my view. If you have a group, and I'm not saying there aren't some out there that are good, but for me, it's my rule, and I'm not going to break it. But if my situation is this, the way I see it, if you can't walk into the front door of the group that you want to donate money to and shake hands with an individual that's going to handle your money, see the results of where your money goes, never give them money. If you don't know where it's going and you just saw a letter, they don't get any money. If they're outside the state of Texas, I suggest screen them very, very hard. I actually lean towards, if you're going to give money to, not give money to directly to a candidate, give it to somebody, to a group in your county. In your county. Look as local as you can. Be able to go track down your money anytime you feel like it. Be able to drop in on whoever it is you donate money to. And if you can't find one in your county, give a little extra to the church. But the fact is, politics is not about representation as much as it is about fleecing us of our money and keeping control over us. That's all it is. That's why guys like me, who could care less about any of the other stuff, I'm an ideologue. I can't win. If you have principles, you can't win. You just can't win. I mean, on the federal level, if you have principles and you say so, and you say, no, we're not going to do this anymore, not going to happen. I am very proud of the fact that I pulled double digits in the state of Texas with $70,000. Almost 11% of the voters voted for me. And that man spent almost $10 million, as I understand it, to garner 59%. I think if I had $5 million, I crushed him. Just crushed. He wouldn't even been in the ballpark. Because this message resonates. When people get clarity of truth to power, they get it. Nobody walks out and says, that doesn't work. I'm telling you, when people hear the truth about what's going on with our states' rights and the way we're being manipulated as voters, they get it. And they don't leave it. You don't wake up tomorrow and forget about it. I just want to grow this out. Tell 10 people. If we can get this around the state of Texas and maybe initiate kind of an underground little movement here, this is nonpartisan. I'll go give this talk to Democrat clubs or Chamber of Commerce or Rotary or church organization, doesn't matter. We can have this discussion with anybody. It works. But this is a serious, serious issue here in the state of Texas. In all states, but we're in Texas. We need to take care of the Lone Star State first. So I'm glad everybody hung out here tonight. I'm surprised. I didn't know Edom would put together a group this large. If you don't understand it, it's as large as it can be.
We got a good doc.
You guys are really good.